how to date when you fear dating. This may seem like an oxymoron, and you may be in the point in your journey where you're not even ready to date. You don't even want to think about dating. And by the way, a lot of clients that we work with here in Break the Cycle have that stance when they first enroll. And then once they do the work and they overcome some of their initial fears and learn how to regulate their emotions and their nervous system and their thinking, they feel a lot more confident in just a few weeks to a few months about dating. But I don't want to get off track. If you fear dating, there are a couple of points that I want to make before we talk about how to stop fearing dating, and really at the core of this, how to stop letting fear control your life. So if you fear dating right now, number one, it's a very natural response, especially if you've had betrayal, and especially if you stayed in a relationship or marriage hoping that things would change, and you gave it your all, and you continue to give and give and give and give, and continue to not get the same level of reciprocity in return. It's really normal to view dating as kind of like this big, scary monster in the closet. This, there's a term, victims of a crime scene will usually avoid going back to that crime scene on purpose, because they realize that if they visit the scene of the accident, the car accident, the robbery, the rape, whatever, that it's going to bring up a lot of emotion. Even if, you're an adult now and maybe you grew up in a home where there was a lot of chaos, and you go back and you visit your childhood home or you drive by, it might bring up a lot of unwanted feeling or emotion that needs to come up, but that you haven't really dealt with or felt yet truly. So the same thing applies to dating. Now, the conflict happens is that when you really want a great relationship, everybody that we work with here wants a great relationship. However, their fear is in direct conflict with that goal. And so the first thing to realize is that feeling fearful is quite normal, and it's a very natural response. However, if you continue to allow your fear to control you, you are going to continue to pull in or attract more relationships and unfavorable dating scenarios that will continue to make you more fearful, because we tend to attract how we're feeling. We tend to attract what's in our frequency. I know that may sound like a woo-woo term, but if you break down your body to cells, whenever we look under cells in a microscope, everything is vibrating. And we know in science and in neuroscience that an emotion that you feel has a vibrational aspect or a frequency in your body. So from a trauma-informed perspective, if you are feeling fearful or feeling shameful or feeling doubtful or uncertain, or you don't know if you can trust yourself, usually, or you fear growing old alone, and because of this looming fear of dying alone or being alone or getting too old and feeling like your options are limited, that fear may drive you to take premature action in your dating life and settle for somebody because that fear is driving your behavior. So fear going into it is normal. The thing that there are a few points that I want to invite you to ask yourself is if you fear dating, number one, now after having a fear-producing, pain-producing relationship or a series of failures in your love life, it is very likely that fear has been controlling your life before. So if you think about ignoring red flags, if you think about all the times that you ignored your intuition to stay in a questionable relationship and hope for the best, if you think about the times that maybe you were married for 20 years and you walked down the aisle knowing well in your heart and in your gut that it wasn't the right thing to do, but you kept doing it anyway. If you think about all the time that you have spent listening to your fear, you may realize that fear has been a part of your choices in relationship for a very long time. And so a lot of people will exit a bad relationship, a particularly bad relationship, and falsely believe that their fear of dating is because of their ex. But when we zoom out and get a broader picture, what is often the case is your fear has been controlling you for longer than you may want to admit. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. And fear, especially in relationship choices, in the world of intimate interpersonal relationships, especially dating, tends to stem from past pain or past experiences or past childhood experiences, past trauma, things from long, long ago that left deep impressions. And if you don't effectively resolve those deep impressions, which we're going to talk about in a minute, that is going to continue to play out like a broken record until you choose, and the operative word is choose, to overcome that pattern and face your fears and heal your trauma and rewire how you're thinking, how you feel, your belief systems, your actions, etc. So the first thing to keep in mind is fear is probably not just an isolated thing when you think about dating. It's probably influenced your choices in partners, in how long you stay in unhealthy relationships for many, many years, if not your whole life. The second thing to inquire within about is that if you are fearful of dating, it is wise to ask yourself, where else is fear impacting your life? So some examples of this that we often see here are people staying in not healthy or fully fulfilling career environments. They may be happy with their line of work, but they're settling on some level. They don't feel like they're really giving it their all or they're reaching their full potential. Settling for friendships that may be stagnant or may even be unhealthy or codependent. Friendships, family, settling in your social life. Isolating is a huge thing that we see with women who have exited a bad relationship or marriage. They tend to withdraw and turn all of their focus inward and tend to keep people at arm's length. This is a trauma response. It's very natural, but the irony is that you think it keeps you safe, but in research, isolation produces more depression, anxiety, trust issues, more unhealthy relationship patterns over the long haul. So, where else is fear impacting or influencing your life in a negative way? Because how you do one thing is very likely how you do a lot of things in your life. So, how do you overcome your fear, especially if fear has been the primary emotional home that has driven your choices in love? The first and foremost thing is to work a trauma-informed plan or use trauma-informed methods. A lot of people get into therapy, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, I'm going to specify that, talk therapy. And it's a wonderful place to start. It's a wonderful place to go when you need to unpack your issues and maybe you realize that you've married a narcissist, or maybe you've taken a lot of time off dating and you met another unhealthy person and you realize, the problem is me. I have to get into therapy. I have to learn how to fix this. The limitations with therapy is that sometimes it can feel like a vent session. It can feel like you're kind of just talking about the same things over and over and over again, but you don't really have a sense of accountability. You don't have anything to work on outside of your sessions, anything that's going to consistently move you forward and move the needle forward from where you are to what you want. So a trauma-informed plan, especially in the world of relational trauma, or complex trauma is another name for it, or even CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Complex and relational trauma are often like the number one killer of women over the age of 35 is heart disease. It's a silent killer. A lot of people think trauma is, I had a bad car accident, or my husband was physically violent towards me, or I was involved in an assault when I was in college, etc. Those things definitely qualify, obviously, as trauma, but a lot of people don't realize that the bulk of trauma that somebody faces in their life will happen in the context of a really close relationship, close, emotionally intimate relationship where they are supposed to feel safe. So if you have stayed with a questionable partner, if you felt like you're the crazy person, if you felt like you can't be truly authentic, if you felt like you're feeling big or that you're too much, or you've been gaslit or manipulated or guilt tripped, or every problem in the relationship somehow winds up being your fault and you're always apologizing unnecessarily, those are examples of relational trauma. And it's many, many, many incidences, psychological, emotional transgressions, boundary violations that happen over and over and over and over again in the confines, in the context of a relationship, a place where you're supposed to feel safe. So most people, 86% of adults, by the way, have this type of trauma to some degree. And if you want to have a healthy relationship and you realize fear is holding you back, and you realize all of your choices up until this point in your life have been fear-based, and you want a healthy relationship, but you don't know how to get there, the best thing that you can do for yourself is work a trauma-informed plan. And trauma-informed means that it's going to use parts of your mind and it's going to incorporate your body, how you're feeling. Using your body looks like movement. It looks like breath work, meditation, mindfulness, being aware of how you feel in your body in certain moments, inquiring within, asking yourself specific questions in triggering moments, allowing feelings to move through your body, noticing where you feel things in your body. So this is all kind of a conglomerate called somatic therapy, which is what we offer and practice here. And somatic therapy is a proven method for helping you get out of overanalyzing things, which is where a lot of people live when they fear dating. They are overanalyzing or projecting fear into the future. What if I make another wrong choice and I fail again? What if I fall for somebody and they realize or they feel like I'm a red flag because of all of my trust issues and they leave me? What if I get 5 more years into my life and I've dated and I still don't meet anybody? And so unhealed trauma will usually cause people not only to fear dating, but also to overanalyze things to the point where they bypass their intuition. Why is that important? Because you've likely bypassed your intuition in your past relationships. And your intuition isn't something that you necessarily feel up here. It's something that you sense in your body. And everybody that we work with there's a common theme. They all they felt red flags right away in their last relationship. And because of their past experiences, their past conditioning, the beliefs about themselves, subconscious beliefs, I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, what if I'm too old? Fear, in other words, kept them overriding their intuition and producing more trauma long term. So working a trauma-informed plan is going to help you not only rewire the thinking, the thought processes up here. It's not going to rehash your past or keep you focused on your past. It's going to take you where you are right now and help you develop the brain, the thinking, the wiring up here, and the feeling states in here of confidence and happiness and self-trust and ease and joy and feeling calm under certain situations, under stress. It's going to help you develop that skill set without consistently talking about your past or venting about your problems. Venting about your problems, telling the story of what your ex did to you, only refires and rewires the same chemistry in your brain and in your body associated with that painful experience. It feels good initially to get that off your chest, and there's nothing wrong with venting. Sometimes we just need a good vent. Sometimes we just need to get it off our chest. But over the long term, research shows that that alone does not heal trauma, and it certainly does not heal trauma-based behaviors that continue to show up in your relationships. So trauma-informed plan. The second thing is consistent action. A lot of people will, do some meditation or do some mindfulness, or they'll get on a dating app and then they meet resistance. So the thing about resistance is that anytime you are changing a behavior, you are literally rewiring old pathways that have been firing up there for years. So your body doesn't like change. The old saying, change is hard. Consistency is key, because the more consistent you are, the more opportunities for gains and successes you're going to have. And you start to see those shifts in real time in your life. And when you see your environment changing and things around you changing, you start to gain more momentum, more positive feedback, which then fuels your momentum to keep going past challenges. So consistency, knowing how to take actions out of your comfort zone, which is one of the things that we help our clients do here. You can meditate all you want on your couch in the comfort of your own home, where you're safe and nobody's going to trigger you. But the real work happens outside in life, when you're dating, when you're involved in relationship scenarios. And for a lot of people, they will avoid dating because they don't want to feel uncomfortable, or they'll avoid certain situations in their life because they don't want to feel uncomfortable. And they rob themselves of the opportunity for growth in those areas. So avoidance will not just remove the element of fear. It's kind of like a temporary Band-Aid. It'll temporarily take away the fear, but the fear is still always going to be there because you're never really facing it. Taking consistent action means facing your fears on a regular basis, regularly getting out of your comfort zone, regularly putting yourself in situations, relationships, conversations that are going to be a little uncomfortable, setting boundaries, speaking up on how you truly feel in certain situations. So these consistent action out of your comfort zone is a key core element. And it's one of the things that we see missing in the clients that we work with. And the clients that we work with have already done a lot of therapy. They've done a lot of right things to help themselves, but they're usually missing just a few small tweaks. They still have blind spots, which leads me to the next and final step on how to date without fear, or how to date even if you fear dating, and how to overcome your fear, is to work with an expert, to work with a professional, to work with somebody who's trauma informed. If you've already had a lot of therapy and you feel like, yes, it comes from my childhood. Yes, I know this, but I don't know how to stop doing this. A coach may be the next logical step for you. Coaching helps you take consistent action. It helps to see you where you are right now as a whole, complete individual. And working with a coach or an expert, a mentor, somebody who is trauma informed, somebody who's been where you are and has overcome those things, is going to give you the benefit of having somebody see your blind spots faster than you do. Like I said, there are a lot of people that do the right things to heal, but often they're so close to the problem and they're so close to the story of, I keep doing all of these things, I'm still failing in my love life, I still feel like a failure, I don't know how to do it, which is just reinforcing their fear. And that storyline of, I don't know if I'm ever going to have a great relationship. Somebody in one of our coaching calls said recently, I really want to date, but I don't want to get my hopes up. That's an element of fear. So these are all normal things. However, if that continues to play out, that's going to hold you back. And a lot of people aren't fully aware how much their fear is holding them back and influencing their choices. And it's one of the great benefits of working with a coach who is skilled, trained, trauma informed, is that they are going to be able to see your blind spots quicker than you are and help guide you past those blind spots quicker and more efficiently than if you were to try and do it on your own. A lot of the people that come to work with us at Break the Cycle have been trying to do it on their own for many years. And in fact, a lot of the women that we work with have taken many years off of dating only to find themselves in another unhealthy relationship, even after lots of therapy and taking lots of time off dating to work on herself. Or they find themselves, having a series of disappointments in dating, and then they just throw in the towel. They don't know how to overcome that. The fear isn't just about dating. It's about how fear is controlling your life on a grander scale, how fear has controlled your past relationships, and learning how to overcome the root cause of that fear, which is your trauma from before, from your past, and then how to rewire yourself on a day-to-day basis so that those challenges that you inevitably will face in dating no longer take you out of the game. So, and working with an expert, working with somebody who is going to help you see your blind spots, help guide you past those, navigate through those challenges faster and more efficiently, is a huge key to being successful and changing behavior. So if you think about it, you've probably trained a lot in college or post-grad for your career. Maybe you've done continuing education for your career, whatever that, if you're a financial advisor, a lawyer, et cetera. But not a lot of people really invest in training to have healthy relationships. They hope it's just going to get better. They hope that with enough time or with enough time off dating, that their choices will just, improve as, we age, we get wiser with age. But that's not always the case. And in fact, most of the time, in my experience, what I see with people is that the longer they go in their life, the more failures they accumulate, especially in their love lives, the more that reinforces the story that something's wrong with me. I must be unlovable. I'm never going to be successful. And that storyline is not the storyline internally that's going to lead to a healthy relationship externally in your life. So if you are a successful, driven woman, you've gained a lot of accolades in your career, for example, you're driven in other parts of your life, you can get it right in other areas of your life. But when it comes to your love life, you keep avoiding it, or you're afraid to date, or you're struggling to recover from yet again another unavailable or maybe even narcissistic relationship. And you know that you are the common denominator, and you know that what you've done before hasn't gotten you to where you want to be, and you are ready to shift your behavior, change how you feel every day, change how you think every day without taking any medication or without doing anything drastic in your life, and learn how to attract a healthy relationship, then I invite you to book a free breakthrough session. Go to bethanydotson.com/talk, and we will have a honest, deep dive conversation about your patterns that are holding you back, and then most importantly about what it is exactly that you want. Most people are still stuck at a place that they don't want to be in because they lack clarity on what they really, really want. They're actually too afraid of opening their vision wide enough to dream big enough because they failed so many times in the past. And so we can't really get what we want if we're not super clear on what we want, and if we don't believe that we can actually have it, and we don't take consistent actions to get there and heal the psychology along the way. So to qualify for the call, you're single, you're divorced, maybe your divorce is still in the process, but it's close to being finalized. You're not hoping to work things out with your ex. You're done. You're successful in other parts of your life. You're stable in other parts of your life. And you've already had a lot of therapy, or you may even be in therapy right now. And you love your therapist, but you realize, I feel like I need something a little bit more to get me over the hump, to get me out of my stuckness and get me where I want to go. If that's you, bethanydotson.com/talk. And I look forward to supporting you on a call and seeing you next week on our next show. Take care.